And welcome back. According to the United Nations report, over 122 million people have been driven into hunger since the year 2019. Now, adding to this concern and trend, WHEDco has just unveiled the outcomes of its survey investigating the effects of decreased SNAP benefits on food security to South Bronx residents subsequent to the conclusion of the COVID-19 federal emergency. Here now and sharing more, we're pleased to have and giving us some insight are WHEDco's president, Davon Russell, and senior case manager, Sindy Rivera. And thank you so much for being with us, both of you, and really having this conversation. I think it's very important for people here in the borough to really, and across New York City, to be able to talk about food insecurity, which is so huge, and the great work that WHEDco does. So thank you for being both with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Cindy, I'm going to come to you first. Well, no, let me come to Davon. I always do ladies first, but in this case, let me get right to the president, okay? First of all, glad to have you. Usually I don't have the president. I'm glad to have the president sit next to us. And, share with us, because you guys have done a great job in terms of servicing neighborhood residents for a long time.
Yes. WHEDco was founded 30 years ago on a very simple idea that everyone deserves to live in a thriving community that takes care of their basic needs and more. And so with that premise, we have set out to do some of the things that you know about us. We're an affordable housing developer. We have the food pantry. We provide mental health services and so on. And we do a lot of supports for students in schools.
Yeah. And Cindy, for you, for people who don't know, you do a great job with SNAP, food benefits. For somebody who doesn't know about the food benefits program and SNAP, give us a little bit of insight.
Yes, so SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's a program that was basically created to assist low-income families, connect them to healthy food. So that it has caused a tremendous impact in families, because at least they know that they can, if they can afford food from their pocket, they at least have some money to spend on their families to feed them.
Yeah. And just talking, we want to introduce viewers who may not know, because you assume that people do know, but sometimes people don't even know what SNAP is all about. But the reason why we're having this conversation is because there are cuts that are on the table, and there are cuts that are happening right now, and they're actually, affecting people across New York City. What are we seeing, and what can you let people know?
Yes, definitely. Once the emergency allotment ended, we have seen a lot of families struggling to make ends meet. So we have families that are choosing whether they can pay their rent or buy food. So we have seen a tremendous increase in our pantry visits. Our clients or pantry are coming every Wednesday trying to get a bag of food, because what they get from the SNAP benefits is just not enough to feed their families.
Yeah. And Davon, during COVID, we know that WHEDco saw a lot more people during the pandemic. Talk to us about what you saw during and where we are right now.
So you go back 3 years, March of 2020. About April of 2020, a friend of mine called me and he said, well, how can I help? One of the things that you don't know right away when we have these world catastrophes is that people go hungry. Mm-hmm. And it remains quiet for a while until, whoop, it emerges and you realize that people are hungry and not doing well without food. We right away started thinking, how do we get food to people, not through the regular channels, because we're not meeting as we usually would. Right. Cindy's not sitting in an office. And we thought of grocery cards. And so we raised over $380,000. We purchased grocery cards, and we set up a system where families could come in, get grocery cards, and they can go out and purchase food as they needed to. And we continue to do that even to today.
Right. So you got grocery cards that are out there. You got these SNAP benefits, but then these benefits are being cut. And we know that aid that we talked about, COVID-19 aid, is over with. And so now, where do you see families at in your neighborhoods?
So the cuts come at a time, too, when food prices are increasing.
Exactly.
Right? We talk about inflation and what that's doing to just basic food. So we conducted a survey of over 200 people. I think about 160 responded. And over 60% of them talked about the fact that they have to miss meals, or they're making choices, as Cindy pointed out, between food and other things. We also learned that over 50% of them are visiting places like our pantry because of this cut in SNAP. I think on average it represents about $100 a family that they're losing, again, in the face of rising housing costs and rising food prices.
Yeah. So for yourself, what's it been like? I mean, being on the front line, working with these families, and seeing the need, and sometimes not even being able to meet the need wholeheartedly.
Yes, it's a struggle, and at WHEDco, we are so glad that we're able to provide support and advocacy for our clients. We find ourselves, fighting with sometimes HRA to get the clients connected to those benefits because sometimes they get denied for the wrong reason. So we are able to advocate and provide support for them so that benefits can get approved.
Yeah, I mean, I know working in public service for a long time that, you stick close to your people, you see them, and then all of a sudden it hurts when you say, I don't have the resources or the help to really be able to come through and do this. And as we're seeing right now, a lot of people being impacted because of the end of the COVID-19 relief. And then at the fact that, as we talk about, hey, we can pay, we can give you a grocery card, but that grocery card has also lost value because, the food prices are actually, going up. And so you're helping. But at the same time, now it's not at the same level. It's got to do something for you here to say, oh man, I'm not being able to meet my people at the same level.
No question about it. And one of the things too in our industry that we've been fighting too is how do we support our staff?
Right.
Traditionally people who work in our industry are, underpaid, frankly. And we have to question, what is their worth? And so we've been doing a lot of that too, and kind of shifting and making sure that they're taken care of so they can help support people in the way they need to be supported. So it's been a pretty dicey time for us as an industry.
Yeah.
And again, given everything else that's so inflated about our economy.
Yeah, I know a lot about the food insecurity and the work that you guys do, but for somebody else who doesn't know, the other services that WHEDco provides, take us through a tour of the building.
We are just now, for example, in the final week of Summer Rising. Mm-hmm. We've helped kids, school-age kids who come to summer camp for over 25 years. These are kids who come to a summer camp at 8 o'clock in the morning, they leave at 6 o'clock in the evening, making sure that their parents have a good, secure place for which to leave them. Mm-hmm. We have a home-based child care network that supports women who own and operate child care businesses out of their own homes. We have the food pantry that Sindy has talked about, and we have our mental health support systems that are not only in the buildings where we work, but are in 3 of our schools where we have partnerships.
Yeah. So for yourself, obviously, knowing with all these services under the umbrella of under your roof and under the umbrella, being able to meet families' needs are quite important. But can you give us an inside look as to how many more people you're seeing through the doors recently?
Yes, so a lot of new clients are coming for new SNAP applications, recertifications. We started with 30 tickets for pantry on Wednesdays. Then it wasn't enough. We increased it to 40. Now we're up to 50. And we sometimes give emergency bags for people that come outside of distribution times. Mm-hmm. So we always see an increased need. It's not that we're saying, okay, families are self-sufficient, they're not coming to us for services anymore. No, every time we see an increase in the number of people that we have to serve.
Yeah. Is there any particular category that you're seeing a need at more?
Food.
That's it.
And housing support. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we've had to do in a course correction when we talk to funders about what our needs are is this very thing. Traditionally you get contracts for the work that we do, and they typically sort of cover.
Right.
Now we have these emergency situations, so we've been asking funders for emergency funds. And with an emergency fund, you can help a family just as they show up. Right. Crisis with respect to losing their apartments. We had the ERAP program that ended. What do people do now? We're seeing, we own 3 buildings across the Bronx. Rent collection is down in all 3 of them because people are just having a difficult time.
That was going to lead into my next question, because when we talk about that ERAP money, that money's gone now, right?
Yes,
and so if you're a landlord, you're kind of like out there because the people are saying, I can't afford to pay.
Yep.
You can't get into court because the court systems are backed up right now.
And we're a compassionate landlord.
Right.
Given who we are as a mission-based organization, we're not going to put people out. And so the last resort is to take them to court. We'd rather support them, and this is Sindy's work as well. How do we get them support for payments of rent that's that's backed up?
And sometimes those supplies are just limited in terms of what you can do to provide that cushion.
That's right.
All right, so I'm gonna get the people some more information on how they can get in touch with you. But I want to thank you for coming and being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Good to have you, Sindy. Thank you for the great work that you do. Much needed in our community, and I know that the challenges are really rising, but thank you for being on the battlefield with boots on the ground.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All righty. Listen, now, for more information, do me a favor. Go to the website, WHEDco.org. Follow them also on Facebook at WHEDco. We encourage you, don't go anywhere. We'll be back more open coming up right after this.